Hi, I'm Ron. In this series, I will be creating a relief woodblock print inspired by Japanese bonsai. I'll show you how I came up with the image, how I created the composition, and how I put that onto the woodblock panel in preparation for carving. I will be calling this print Ota Azalea. So this is the woodblock that I'm going to use to carve out my image. It is a ply. I buy it from a vendor that provides ukiyo equipment. In this case, I really do like the grain on here. It carves nicely. Now it's a ply. I can work on both sides. As you can see, I have one image here already. It carves very nicely, and I can do some nice detail carving if I need to. So this is what I'm going to be working with. In regards to my imagery, I'm referencing this book. It is the 55th One Famous Style Bonsai exhibit. It was exhibited in January 13th through 15th in Nagoya City. It's quite old. It's 1985, so the styles are of that time. And so I have lots of images I can work through as inspiration. And as you know, I use these images as inspiration. As I work it, I start to get further away from the image itself or the photo itself. But I really like the way this azalea looks. It's an azalea from Miyama, Kashima. It's a lower island of Japan's islands. And this photo is very nice because it has all these really nice empty spaces and a lot of movement in the branching. And the pads are really well distributed, which will work really good on a horizontal print. The artist is Ota Shigeyuki. And again, this is in 1985. So I took this image and I did a quick sketch of that image. And this is what I came out of it. Again, it's inspired by the photo, but it's not exactly like the photo. But this is what I'm going to work with when it comes to the woodblock print. Now, what I like doing when I do a woodblock print is generally put a rim around it. As you can see here, this rim, it's a little easier for the brayer. So when I'm using my brayer, it just runs along here and I don't have to worry a lot about the negative space in here. There are different cases not to do this, but in this case, I like doing it. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of a 1/4 inch edge around the edge here. Now I'm just going to use a regular Sharpie. This is more of a fine point Sharpie to draw my line. Okay, so if I look at my drawing here, I have the rules of thirds in here that I break down the space, and this sort of gives me an idea of where I want to put key points onto the woodblock print. As you notice, this doesn't have that. Also, what I'm doing here is that I have the apex a little bit biased on this side, where the apex is not as much defined as around here. This is why I tell you that what I'm doing here is not exactly there. It's basically being inspired by this to draw this. It's also, the nabari is a lot different. There's a lot of overlapping in the nabari. It's not that great on the photo, but on the drawing, I much more define the nabari grabbing into the surface. This is going to be a rocky area. This is a mossy area. So I have to figure out how I want to do that. I also have come up with certain types of techniques of texture to define the leaves, define the rocks, define the moss, and then more of a solid shadow. I do like it where I actually show it on a platform, on a table, and so I'm going to use those ideas when I draw it onto my block. So first thing I do is I can measure the rule of thirds in here. This is about 9, so it's like here and say here, and this is roughly 8, so I guess it would be kind of like here and like maybe there, rule of thirds. So I'll draw that in. This will not show up at all. And this is where you don't want to be too, I mean, in my case, in some cases you want to be very graphic when it comes to woodblock prints. In mine, I want it to look a little looser. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so it looks like the foliage kind of comes in here, where the apex is right in here, a little bit to the right of this third, and it comes down where I have another one come up, and it really meets here. I'm getting a feel of where I want these pads to occupy the space. Now the apex here is a little bit biased, so I'm going to do the majority of the trunk line in here. Let's give it some motion and have it come up into here. Always being sure to create taper in your design. Okay, the one behind. Okay, so let's get some nice nabari going in here. That is the roots into the grounds, into the dirt of the pot. And this one comes over here, and I kind of like this underneath branch. Gives really nice motion. The dirt, this kind of arching thing. This is always the hard part, is getting this nice angle in here. You'll notice it comes out a little bit from the edge and then narrows as it gets closer to the center. We're really going to have to work with that to make that look nice. I had the table, and I'm going to have the table vanishing point right here. Seems like a good spot for the vanishing point. So these branches, I need to come out to these branches though. Okay, I've done some additional drawing on this. What I did is I put it on the easel and I stared at it for a little bit, which is a really good practice. That way I know that the drawing that I have is what I want, and I can proceed with drawing this onto the board. Now, I'm going to use a Sharpie, A Sharpie gives me a wider um, drawing line, which I find is really good when I'm doing woodblock. I don't thin lines and really smaller lines is susceptible to breaking because of the grain, and I'm not at that level where I could go and use really thin lines. So I'm going to use little thicker lines for the drawing portion of it. So let's just get going with the drawing. So I think I'll work the foliage first. And I developed a technique that kind of represents my feeling of what leaves should look like. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll work with the branching now. Okay, so that's a bold representation of the tree itself. And what I have here is I really kind of brought in some shadows also to define the structure of that tree. Now these videos are not only for how to do a woodblock print, but also to how to look at bonsai and how to understand bonsai. So this creative motion and more geometric motion of the trunk line with the organic leaves really is a beautiful combination of the two. And so that's really what I'm trying to do here, is really stylize and get not only appreciation for the art of woodblock prints, but also the appreciation of bonsai. So let's get some foliage in the background, so it creates some depth in here, kind of a background. So I'm going to put some foliage in the background. Okay, now let's work on, let me try to draw this pot, and this is the hard part. It's really drawing sort of this angle right. I only get really one shot to it. I'm not using any tools to do it. I'm just going to do it freehand. I find freehand gives it more of an authenticity to the to the work as opposed to using tools. So I like using my hands, and it really gives you the idea of the artist's hand. Now I'm going to do the soil in a much more pointist way, which might end up being quite difficult to carve, but we'll see. So part of the challenge and the beauty of woodblock prints is that you're not using some of your normal styles of drawing and whatnot, and you have to discover new ways of creating an image, which is very unique in woodblock printing. I really enjoy the outcome from doing this type of technique. There you have it. Now is the unique challenge of actually carving that out. So the first stage is done, drawing the image onto the panel. The next video will be me carving out that image so that I could do my relief printing. If you enjoy the slow process-based videos, you will see other videos on my channel that I'm sure you will enjoy. And you can go to my website where I have a blog on each of these videos describing in great detail what we went over on the video, as well as my prints there available for purchase. Thank you.